Hey, you ever want to play your favorite anime character in a tabletop RPG and the system would, kind of let you do it, but not really? Well, then you should play Worlds of Myth. Welcome to MythTube, where we build your favorite anime characters in Worlds of Myth. What is Worlds of Myth, you may ask? Well, Myth is a tabletop RPG that I designed to allow you to build the over-the-top characters you only find in shonen battle anime. Characters like Naruto, Deku, Meliodas, and Ken Kaneki are all examples of characters this game can easily let you build. The game is in late beta right now, so you can head on over to worldsofmyth.net and download a free PDF, and you can also download a variety of other supplements. Yeah, for free. My goal is to spread awareness of the game before its official launch, and I want as many of you as possible to have fun playing it. You can also head on over to our Discord at Sinister Jester Worlds of Myth, where you can talk all things about the game, find a group to play with, or check out some of the other games we're testing. But without further ado, let's talk about who we're building today. So today we are building Archer from the Fate franchise. I know this is like my third Fate video so far, but it's one of my favorite series and servants are just really fun to build, so sorry not sorry. If you want to know why I love the Fate franchise so much, go and watch my Saber and Berserker videos and then go and start watching a few of the Fate series. You'll get addicted too. Other than that, I'm not going to talk about it a ton, so we're just going to go right into the which version / set expectations section of the video real quick. But before we do that, if you haven't seen the show yet and don't want major spoilers as the identity of Archer, click off of this video now and go and watch Unlimited Blade Works. You've been warned? Yeah, you've been warned. Okay, so Archer is the future version of Emiya, the main character of the show, except older and jaded and way more tan. Like seriously, it's like they dropped this man in a vat of spray tan lotion and then set him on fire. But anywho, we are not building Emiya, we are building Archer. That means no regular boring Emiya from the Stay Night route, no Rin-roided Emiya from UBW, and no, this is my strong arm Emiya from Heaven's Feel. We are building Emiya Archer, the servant summoned by Rin Tosaka, whose power set is well established in the 3 previously mentioned Fate routes. Going over his abilities, Archer is a badass. He might not be as fast as Lancer or have the bonkers strength and durability of Berserker or the OP one-shot attack of Saber, but what he does have is versatility. This man is well-rounded physically and mentally for a servant, which is superhuman for anyone else. He has the ability to create any weapon he's seen out of thin air and seems to be proficient with any weapon he creates. He is most fond of his dual yin-yang blades, which he wields in close combat and can throw like a set of boomerangs. He also likes to switch to his longbow for some long-ranged combat, and then he can also fire off swords like arrows, which is pretty stinking cool. He can also use reinforcement magic to amp up his weapon attacks. He has a Mind's Eye ability, which is a sixth sense that he can use to predict enemy attacks. This is a huge gap closer for him that allows him to keep up with other physically superior enemies. And then he has his Ro Ias ability, which is a I'm comfortable enough with my masculinity to use this flower power barrier technique shield thingy. It's a really powerful barrier, though it can be broken by high ranked attacks. Lastly, by doing a cool as shit chant, Emiya Archer can use his ultimate ability, Unlimited Blade Works. I am the bone of my sword. For some reason, that is just really fun to say in the most English accent possible. This ability allows him to create a reality marble or another dimension that he pulls his foes into. This dimension is packed with swords, and more swords, all capable of flying at his opponent at his will. This dimension also allows him to instantly copy the noble phantasm or magical weapon abilities that his enemy use while in the reality marble. He used this ability to kill Berserker Hercules 6 times before he was eventually overwhelmed.
So then, what level does that put him at? Well, Worlds of Myth is divided into 6 tiers of gameplay with 5 levels between each, and we'll correlate this with the Fate franchise in order to estimate where we should build him at. Just like the 2 other Fate videos, Tier 1 or levels 1 through 5 is for weak mages, Tier 2 or levels 6 through 10 are for veteran mages, Tier 3 or levels 11 through 15 is for really powerful mages or weak servants. Tier 4 is where most servants go, Tier 5 is for really powerful servants, and Tier 6 is for the grand servants, which is pretty ridiculous in power. Emiya Archer is definitely a badass, but he's not as powerful as some of the upper ranking servants like Saber, Berserker, or Gilgamesh. But he seems to be stronger than Caster, Rider, and Assassin, and seems to be at least relevant to Lancer. So we're gonna put him at the top of 4th tier as a level 20. Starting with our level 1 stats, we get 17 stats we can divide out how we choose. Archer is pretty good at everything but not OP at anything. Still, if I had to choose 2 stats that he excels above the others, I'd say he's got really good reflexes and a high determination to win. So we'll go with 3 speed, 3 power, 4 skill, 3 cunning, and 4 heart. For your race, we'll go with human. As much as it pains me to build another human build, especially when building a heroic spirit basically gives me license to build him as whatever race I want, we are gonna need the spell school flexibility that humans provide and the extra upgrade points. Humans get 4 gene slots and an extra +2 upgrade points at level 1. For your spell schools, you get Vitamancy, an elemental spell school of choice. We'll go with Pyromancy. You had a burning passion to become a hero in life. And then a spiritual spell school of choice, we'll go with Shadowmancy, because that burning passion turned into an angsty, broody, goth adult vibes in your afterlife. You also get 10 elemental or specialty spell schools of choice or spell affinities of choice. For our spell school list, we'll go with Mirrormancy, Spatialmancy, and Hexmancy. We'll then put 3 spell affinities into Mirrormancy, 3 into Shadowmancy, and 1 into Spatialmancy. This will make it so that Shadowmancy and Mirrormancy get -5 to all of their myth costs, and Spatialmancy gets -3 to all of its myth costs. For talents, humans get 3 upgrade points they can spend on talents of choice. We'll grab Will to Live level 1, that'll give you +5 to life saving rolls. Normally when your HP hits 0 or lower, you have to make a life saving roll against a challenge rate equal to 10 or your negative HP turned positive, whichever is higher. If you succeed, you're not dead, just incapacitated. If you fail, then yeah, you're dead. This extra +5 bonus comes in handy because in life you stubbornly refuse to die. And then we'll actually grab cooking level 2. I know I said we were not gonna build Shiro and we never actually see Archer cook in the show, but it's not like he just forgot how to do it. This'll let you prepare a meal once per day that can either heal or restore an amount of myth to all allies who eat it equal to 1d12 plus your heart stat. For your kit, we'll grab the Growth Weapon Master level 1. So long as you have a cunning of at least 3, which we do, you get a level 1 proficiency in all weapons. All 28 of them in the core book, and however many more I come up with in the expansion material. Next, we'll grab Shadow Weapon level 1 so you can make those weapons. This spell takes a passive action and 3 myth and allows you to create a weapon and put it in your hand. After you initially cast it, you can spend +1 myth at any time in order to just make another one. This does not take an action or anything, you can just do it whenever you need to. This effect lasts for the rest of the combat. One note to make is that these weapons do deal dark damage, so if you're going against a holy type, you'll deal an extra +10 damage to them with every attack, which is nice. After that, you like to dual wield, so we'll pick up dual wielding so that you can use 2 swords at a time, but we'll also pick up two-handed fighting style level 2, because some weapons like your bow are best used with both hands. This will give you +2 offense, +2 defense, +8 damage, and +40 foot range to ranged weapons, so long as you are only using 1 weapon at a time. It's a great equalizer for people who like the style of using only 1 weapon at a time, but still want to keep up with those people wielding 2 weapons at a time. You do both though. Next, if we were building Emiya Shiro, we would have story beats to go off of, but we're not. We're building Emiya Archer, so we don't. That means we're gonna take him all the way up to his highest non-epic level and then finish things off with level 20. So jumping all the way up to level 15, by this point you'll get an extra plus 70 HP, plus 140 myth, 76 plus 23 upgrade points from your human bonuses, 2 stacks of overcharge, and 14 stats. Well-rounded man that you are, will put 3 into everything except for speed. You're considered a little slow by some of the other servants. From our race, we'll also get another plus 2 gene slots, which means as the super customizable human, we are sitting at 6 slots. Let's immediately start filling those slots in order to get our stats up. For starters, we are actually gonna get the psychic gene at level 3. Archer isn't exactly psychic, but he has a 6th sense, and this will help us to get that. This gene will give us plus 1 skill, plus 3 cunning, plus 2 heart, and access to Psymancy and Hypnomancy. After that, we'll get Body Enhancement level 3 and Mind Enhancement level 3. Body Enhancement gives us plus 3 to all of our physical stats and minus 1 cunning, but Mind Enhancement gives us plus 4 to all of our mental stats, so together that's a plus 4 heart and plus 3 to everything else. And then we'll grab the Sin Mark Gene Mark of Greed level 3. And this one might seem a bit odd to some of you. After all, Archer isn't known for being greedy or demonic, but this is what's gonna give us the really terrifying unlimited blade works we want later. This gene will grant us plus 2 cunning and plus 3 stats of choice. We'll go with 2 speed and 1 skill. It also grants us another affinity for spatialmancy and 2 elemental or specialty spell schools of choice. We'll go ahead and grab Chronomancy. Your reality marble definitely has a very timey-wimey sort of theme going on. And then the last school doesn't really matter, so we'll grab Aeromancy. You're willing to kill your former self just to be free of your position as a counter guardian. I'd say that makes you angsty and free-spirited. Lastly, and most importantly, this gene gives us the effect Holding Space Avarice Dimension. This gives you a special pocket dimension that you can store an infinite amount of currency in, along with 50 carryable items. In order to store an item, you have to spend an hour in-game time and 10 myth performing a ritual that marks that item with your Mark of Greed. Once marked, you can store or pull out the item at any time without spending any action economy by spending 1 measly myth point. Moving back to our stats though, next we'll grab Awakening Gene level 3. This will give us another 7 stat points we can do whatever we want with. We'll give ourselves another 2 speed, 3 power, and 2 skill. And then there are no stat-based genes left that will give us the stats we want without going over the stat cap of 15. So how about we grab Implanted Spell Crystal level 3. That'll grant us plus 50 myth and 3 spell schools or spell affinities. The extra myth can represent that one time you turned in your 2 weeks to Rin, yet somehow still remained in the material world for like 3 days. We'll shove 1 more affinity into Spatialmancy and then 2 into Hexmancy. And then we'll round out our stats by grabbing Improved Speed level 3, Improved Power level 3, Improved Skill level 1, Improved Cunning level 1, and Improved Heart level 3. That'll give us a nice 15 in all of our stats, which is where we cap. I wanted to max out our stats first because I knew we were going to need our Cunning really high in order to max out Weapon Master at level 5. This will make it so that we now have a level 5 in all of our weapons. Next, let's get that 6th sense by picking up the spell 6th sense at level 3. This spell grants you an extra roll every time you make any success or challenge roll, which pretty much is the equivalent of D&D advantage. Myth's version of representing advantage comes in the form of advantage and disadvantage points, which we won't go into too far in this video, but you can check it out in the advanced rules in the document. But an extra roll means you get to roll an extra d20 and then you get to pick the higher roll and use it for your success or challenge roll. At levels 1 and 2, this spell has to be activated and has a decent myth cost to maintain, but at level 3 it just becomes a permanent ability and is always on. Next, we'll grab you a Row Ias by getting you the Hexmancy spell Magic Shield level 5. This is a block type spell that when dual wielded has a defense of 28 with your skill included, which is 3 more than if you were just using your dual swords. It also has the effect that if it fails to block the attack like the real Row Ias did, it'll still mitigate the incoming damage by granting you 8 protection, meaning you're gonna take 8 less damage. Block type spells also have an overcharge effect that makes it so that the first stack of overcharge you add to them adds plus 15 protection to this effect, and each stack after that adds another plus 10, so even if you fail the roll, you should be able to withstand Lancer's ultimate spear attack. Next, in addition to making whatever weapon you pretty much want, you can just copy any weapon that you see. So we'll give you the Mirrormancy beta spell Mimic item level 3. This spell is cool, but since there aren't many weapon or armor upgrades in the core book, I decided to save it for later expansion material. The spell allows you to create a magical copy of an item that you can see within 60 feet of you. If it's a weapon, you can place it in an open hand. If it's armor or an accessory, you can temporarily replace your own armor or accessory, and no matter which option you choose, you can also just have it appear 15 feet away from you. You can also spend plus 5 myth at any time in order to make more item copies in the same way that you can just spawn more copies of your swords with your shadow weapon, and these copies don't have to be of the same item. Finally, you can make copies of any weapon that you have made a copy of in the past. Copied items mimic all of the original items' upgrades, so if the weapon deals extra elemental damage or has a gun inside of it, or allows you to cast a spell, whatever, you can mimic it so long as the upgrade is not considered legendary or mythic, which are the item equivalents of epic. This will represent your ability to copy weapons on the fly in your reality marble, but I still wanted to grab Shadow Weapon just so you never had to worry about not having a weapon available to copy. But you don't just copy weapons, you copy the skills needed to use them. You already have the ability to wield any weapon just as is, but we'll grab the spell Mimic spell level 3 so you can make use of any spells the copied weapons have stored in them. This spell can only be cast a number of times per day equal to the number of overcharge stacks you have plus 3. It allows you to temporarily learn a spell you have seen someone else use at the highest non-epic level you saw them use it at. This new learned spell lasts until the end of combat. It's a great way to steal your opponent's power and throw it right back at them, and you can copy multiple spells in this way during the same combat. Next, we have a speed and cunning of at least 10. That means we're grabbing godly speed and efficient. Together, these two growths will grant us an extra action each turn. Speaking of techniques, you are an excellent fighter and come with some of your own techniques right out of the box. So let's grab Skill Weaver level 4. This will give us plus 5 to cunning versus cunning rolls involved in using maneuvers. Maneuvers are special abilities that most weapons have. You also get 9 upgrade points back that can only be spent on techniques. We'll start by spending our first freebie point to pick up Spirit Attack, which allows us to use overcharge stacks with regular weapons. We don't have to worry about this with our shadow weapons, but it'll come in handy for our mimicked weapons. Then we'll grab the technique Standby Weapon Attack level 3 with 3 more freebie points. This will allow us to grab up to 5 other weapons within reach to incorporate them into our attack. The technique costs 2 actions to use, but doesn't require any additional passive actions for wielding more than 2 weapons at a time. This technique was designed to recreate the Mifune attack feel. And then we'll grab Dance of Attacks level 2 for 4 more freebie points. This allows us to spend an action and a passive action in order to make 3 standard attacks in a row, so we can potentially attack 6 times in a row if we wanted to. If you've seen this guy in the fight with Lancer, he can attack pretty quick when he wants to. And then your Row Ias is good for more than just protecting you, it's also used to guard your children's as well. So we're gonna pick up the spell technique Expanded Shield level 1, expending our last free point and 1 more actual upgrade point. This spell technique allows you to extend the reach of your shield to block for anyone within 30 feet of you. If the block fails, they can still try to defend in their own way, and if they still get hit, then they will benefit from your magic shield protection score. You can only use this spell technique once per round. We'll also grab the technique running attack level 1. This will allow us to spend only one action in order to make a movement and an attack. And next, you don't use elemental weapons or anything, but we still want to be able to hit hard, so we're gonna go ahead and grab Combat Expert level 3. This gives all of your attacks plus 15 damage so long as you do not have any amplification spells active. And then with our 7 remaining points, I guess we'll just go ahead and grab Durable level 3 and Wisdom level 4. That'll give us another plus 30 HP and plus 80 Myth, which are stats that are always good to have. Moving up to the end of 4th tier, this is pretty much the level of power we see Archer at for all of the 3 series he appears in. By this level you get plus 25 HP, plus 50 Myth, plus 1 stack of Overcharge, 30 plus 5 upgrade points, the Epic status meaning you can now pick up stuff with the Epic tag in their cost, and 5 stat points. We'll just give ourselves a nice even plus 1 across all of our stats, cause as mentioned before, you are good at everything, but you're not really great at anything. First, you specialize in projection magic, but you're also pretty great at reinforcement magic. Your attacks have the ability to harm Hercules, they gotta be pretty powerful. So we'll go ahead and pick up Overflowing Spirit, this'll grant us another stack of Overcharge. Next, we'll pick up Weapon Master level 6, that'll give us a level 6 in all of our weapons. We'll also up our body and mind enhancement genes to level 4, that'll grant us another plus 1 to all of our stats. And then we'll get us Two-Handed Fighting Style level 3, that'll increase our single weapon at a time bonus to plus 3 offense, plus 3 defense, plus 12 damage, and plus 60 feet when dealing with ranged weapons. And then we'll up Wisdom to level 5, that'll grant us another plus 20 Myth. After that, it's time to master some of the heavy hitters with Standby Weapon Attack level 4. This lets us add up to 10 offhand weapon attacks within our reach to our attack, which is gonna be pretty insane once we go into our unlimited blade works. Speaking of which, it is finally time to pick up the crowning ability of this build, the Noble Phantasm with the most kick-ass mantra, "Unknown to life, nor to death, unlimited blade works." We will be picking up our cool as shit reality marble in the form of the ultimate spell Create Domain level 3. This spell has some insane customization. The thing takes up like 2.5 pages in the document, but it's worth it. Essentially what it does is it allows you to create your own pocket dimension with a radius equal to your heart times 10 feet, which for you is 170 feet in all directions. You can travel to this dimension by spending 35 Myth after affinities, and you can pull any number of other targets with you by spending another plus 1 Myth after affinities. This pocket dimension is one that you create beforehand using 13 customization points, which are like upgrade points that apply only to this spell. For the customizations that we're going to go for, first we will of course pick up Treasury. This customization works in tandem with our holding space ability we grabbed from Mark of Greed. It allows us to store all of our weapons from our Avarice dimension in this location. We'll also get Home Field Advantage and Ruler's Advantage. Together, these two customizations will give us plus 5 offense, plus 5 defense, plus 10 damage, and plus 5 protection while in our own dimension. Archer seems to get inherently stronger just for going into his own world. We'll then grab Draw Power. This gives us access to the special overcharge effect in which we can spend overcharge stacks while we cast Create Domain, and then the overcharge stacks just sort of go in with us into our dimension and we can just pull from them when we want to. This means that you could potentially spend 4 stacks stacks, invite Hercules into your own personal playpen, wait for your overcharged stacks to recharge on your next turn, and then smash him with 8 overcharged stacks at a time, getting an extra +8 to your chance to hit and plus 160 damage, and that'll take out at least one of his lives. We'll also grab Dimensional Gatekeeper. The way that Create Domain works is by creating your pocket dimension in the in-between. That's myth lore, look it up in the introduction of the document. But that means that people can potentially fly to your world via ship, or they can travel to it using the spell Gate. But with your Gatekeeper ability, you can just say, nope, this is my world, and keep them out. And then finally, there isn't much else that Archer's Reality Marble does, so we're just gonna make it bigger. We'll do this by picking up Expanded Domain 4 times. This makes it so the area of your domain now has a radius of 850 feet. And that's a pretty big playpen. And that's the build. So how did we do? Well, we pretty much got Archer all the things. You can let me know in the comments if you think I missed anything, but the only thing I think he's really missing from the show is the ability to look really far away, which would have meant Hawkeye's, which is an Oculomancy spell, which isn't super easy to grab. I just had to prioritize other things more. But what we were able to get him were some super sweet, super well-rounded stats. There is nothing that you are not good at. You can also create and use any weapon. You can copy any weapon, so if Saber shows up with Excalibur, you can just say, well, I have an Excalibur too. If they can cast a spell with their item like Gilgamesh's Enuma Elish, you can just be like, well, I can use Enuma Elish too. You've got a decent number of overcharge stacks, enough so that you can fire off an arrow like a guided missile. You've also got a good number of attacks that you can pull off in a row and good maneuverability when you want to. Your Sixth Sense means you're going to be rolling pretty reliable rolls. And of course, let's not forget your cool as shit Unlimited Blade Works, where you force your opponent to witness your weeb collection and then proceed to slice them apart with 12 swords at a time in a dimension where you can store up extra stacks of overcharge to hit harder, and you also inherently get a home field advantage stat boost. Like if you use your full standby weapon attack with maximum overcharge stacks plus the 4 you saved from your store power, and then you're also using the attack inside of your reality marble, your attack is gonna look like this. And that's pretty terrifying. So yeah, there is a reason why Emiya Archer is my favorite servant. He is just a toolbox of badassery, and I love him for it. If you liked this video, you know what to do. Please give me a like and subscribe, and most importantly, share this video with your friends, as it really does help to spread awareness of the game. If you're looking for a group to play with, check out our Facebook and Discord channels. You can always reach out to whoever's running a campaign at the time and join a group. And as always, my beautiful weebs, peace.